Um, it is beautiful in a rugged sort of way, and certainly the river, which I guess will be coming in as I mumble on into my full watch. Um, yeah, Cheeseman died here. Sorry, Cheese, for using your death as a jumping off point for talking about my own, possibly. We had been partying every night that week, and the one night that I don't stay with him, I come back to find out that apparently he died somewhere stuck out there. Apparently, the police came along and came and asked him. They're like, "Are you all right? You're stuck in the mud. Can we take you home or something?" And I'm sure, cheese being cheese, he would have just told them to, well, fuck off. Who wants a police escort home? I mean, do you think maybe he was stuck? Anyway, next thing you know, he's dead. And that was in 2014. And I must also acknowledge, lots of other people I know and love have died. All right. And someone I know and love very dearly has, almost done the thing that's nearly as bad as dying, which is having severe dementia. So their body is, yeah, I don't need to explain dementia and how horrible it is for everyone who loves you and loves the person and all that. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Today's been an interesting day. I had already planned to come out here and started the first episode of a very long letter to, I guess, well, it's not a letter, it's a video, as you can probably see. Could be an audio only podcast if I fuck things up. It might be a video only vidcast if I fuck the audio up. We really don't know. We are flying by the seat of our pants today. Um, okay, yeah, so I was planning on coming out here and starting the first episode. I had actually recorded a pre episode, but I talked about a person in a very personal way, not a mean way, in a sort of he was the love of my life type way. Um, God, I fucking missed the first 20 minutes of video, so you see what I'm like, right? But the fact that I'm here, stood here now, and this is happening is positive, okay? Now, okay, yeah, so that was my plan. And I was planning on doing that because I've kind of had it. Like I've been very ill since I was 17, and I haven't got the help that definitely should have been given as a child. Um, and really, it would have been nice if I'd had it as an adult. But anyway, well, I would be saying that, I guess. Who knows, right? So British Gas bring me up before because I owe them an amount. Let's just call it an amount of money. It's not actually. It's like 200 quid or something, right? Again, because when you're feeling like you you're gonna not be around, you don't want to give money to corporations. I don't want to give money to corporations at the best of times, you know. Um. Anyway, so they're like, uh, if you need more time to pay. And it's not that I needed more time to pay, but I would have appreciated them to stop fucking ringing me and texting me all the time. So I went on the website and I clicked, I'm having mental health problems. Not a lie there. And then um, unfortunately, that resulted in, well, I guess no, fortunately, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. So they rang me, and apparently speaking to me scared them so badly that the amount of money, nothing came up really. They were just like, right, we're going to have to call the police. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do not call the police. I've had the police called on me for this reason before, and that would have been in 2015. Um, Actually, no, it was 2016. It was Christmas. It was Christmas 2015, leading into 2016, the worst year of my life. Should be the worst year of your life as well because we lost Prince, Bowie, and George Michael. I mean, are you fucking serious? 2016, we do not like you. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, yeah, so I scared British Gas. Poor lady at British Gas. She was like, "Oh, well, can you tell me what's been going on recently?" I'm like, "Well, what the?" Well, no, she didn't say recently. That's it. She's like, "Can you tell me what's been going on?" And I was like, "What, the last 43 years?" I mean, I'm a shithead, but I have this thing. I'm radically honest, but not b- because I don't believe it's the right thing to do. But it's certainly not necessarily the easiest way to live. People who can sort of just lie and create the convenient thing to tell people all the time probably have an easier time of it, right? But the reason I'm radically honest, I think it might be to do with the autism-ish, well, the neurodivergence-ish of it all, right? It's just I can't keep track of lies, right? And also they make me feel very guilty indeed. Oh, very guilty indeed. I remember, yeah, that I need to get through the main story. Um, I hope that me, yeah, yeah, still recording. Yeah. Good, right. So I was like, please don't send the police. I'm about to go out, and then I was half in mind, 'cause I've had a lot of creative projects that I start, and maybe I don't. Well, no, it's not maybe I don't. I never finish them. So I've got hundreds of songs, hundred album ideas, album plans, track lists, yeah, all like just sitting on my hard drive, waiting to be waiting. Some lovely dogs there. Um, what was I saying? Right, yeah. So please don't send the police to my house. I thought, well, okay, well, if there was ever a reason to get out of the house, because you really, I mean, when I don't want people to come to my house, and police are people, okay? Let's just leave it at that. Um, right, so then someone from Manchester rings up and he's like, yeah, I'm from the Manchester ambulance. Well, no, he actually said, I'm from the Northwest Ambulance Service, and I naturally thought there'd been some kind of a problem, mistake, because although I didn't want to hear from any ambulance service, it didn't make a lot of sense. But I guess they have some kind of load balancing situation where whichever ambulance service is more able to take a call like that or make a call like that is going to be the one that does it. And I guess at the end of civilization, that is an optimization that you probably it does make sense to do. Right. Anyway, so he rings me, and again he asks me, well, so what's been, they people think you become suicide. People think you become exasperated just because you stubbed your toe that day, right? Uh, and don't get me wrong, stubbing my toe is something I okay. No one enjoys that. That doesn't make me a special snowflake to not enjoy pain. But So it's just very hard to answer without being flippant. I'm like, well, I'm a damaged human being, and I've all of my coping mechanisms are totally, just totally. What's the word? All my coping mechanisms, which were shit to begin with, have been depleted. That's the word. Depleted, negated. Just it's fucked, basically. And he was like, right, okay, so do you need the ambulance to come to you now? And I'm like, no, I told the British gas lady that I didn't want the police. She was talking about the police, I think, to try and scare me or something, or to see if I was serious or what. But no, of course, the ambulance service is a more appropriate group of people to get involved. Okay, now got to follow this. At that point, I'm like, right, time to go. Pretty sure no one's coming over. But let's go and record this video because you can't. It is bad to just, if especially if you're planning to end your life, right? Like this is the thing, right? Cheeseman, someone, a dear friend of mine, Josh, put it in just such the perfect way. Everyone struggled to hate him, and when I met him, that's the main thing I wanted to do. He was sat in my fucking seat. Uh, you'll. He was. You come home from a hard day at work, and some guy in a top hat is sat in your seat on the sofa. That's unacceptable. But of course, he argued me round. He became the greatest person I've possibly ever known that I haven't been in love with. Well, and I say in love, I've never really been in love with anyone. I've always just loved at people, and they have said, I'm straight, leave me alone, or, mainly just that. um, anyway, yeah, so. And whilst I'm walking out from my flat, as I tend to do, I messaged my mother. I was like, should we have a quick cup of tea? And I thought this would be a funny story. Because again, radically honest, the poor woman has. Okay, how do I put this so that she doesn't. Okay, right. If I think that mother's going to be watching what I say right now. Okay, you got to understand, Mum, you're not entirely blameless. I take responsibility for my life for the moment I hit 18 and onwards. And in a sort of general sense, I take responsibility for my life. But there are factors that have led to this problem. Anyway, so that's the first mention of mother. Complicated relationship with her. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, so I'd give her the general gist of what I've told you up to now, and then another ambulance service rings me. Someone in Bristol this time, and this lady wasn't going to let me go with a quick sort of box ticking exercise. She really did want to dig into. So what's been happening? And I'm like, well, we're doing genocide, the whole civilization is collapsing, economics is a lie, capitalism is a particularly sick lie. You know, I don't want to be here anymore. Right? And I think at that point, mother was like, right, I'm going to go, watch some telly in the other room whilst he goes through this latest crash out, right? Um, Better check I'm still recording. Yeah, okay. But the really good news, possibly, because part of the reason that I'm recording this is like maybe the act of trying to say everything that has been unsaid, or at least ought to be said. No, trying to say everything that in my absence I would want people to know about my past, my present, and what they mean to me. Because I've had very close friendships, only, sadly. But when you have no romantic relationships whatsoever, when no one chooses you, and this is probably going to be a theme, no one ever chose me. Boo hoo. Um, but your friendships mean a lot to you. So okay, reference back to. I come here. I wouldn't say a lot because it's pretty depressing, and I'm already depressed. I tell you, or the thing that I feel most guilty about, other than the fact that I wasn't there with him that night, because I do feel like I could have stopped that, and then a person who everyone loved, and I mean, he just brought sunshine no matter where he went, no matter what he was doing. He could sit in your seat on the sofa and you would fucking forgive the guy, right? And he'd still be here if I hadn't fucking gone and done some other stupid thing that night just to get some weed. That's all I was doing. It wasn't like some. Anyway, so what was my point there? Okay, let's think. What was my point? There was a point. I know there was a point. Right, yeah, this is the point. So, at the end of this conversation with the really nice lady from Bristol, she says, "Oh, I've spoken to. I'm gonna make up a name for this person because this is obviously a real living healthcare professional. Um, that might be a bit unfair. Who knows? We'll find out. His name is Blinky Winky. I'm sorry, I'm not doing very well with thinking up a fake name. But she's like, yeah, I've spoken to Blinky Winky. I was like, what? What? My mental health care worker? Because I've been trying to. I had an assessment in January, right? I'm recording this in July, okay? And this assessment has been the latest assessment in a long fucking string of assessments. It has been a total fucking waste of time. And only last week I went in, I was like, look, I'm trying to chase up. I had an assessment, I'm really struggling. Where is Blinky Winky? And when they're like, yeah, twice I did that because you're supposed to chase them up. You're supposed to be the squeaky wheel, right? So I was trying to be a squeaky wheel. It didn't work, apparently, until I told British Gas that I wanted to fry. I wanted to fry forever. I wanted to fry and go on into the next wife. No, of all the things I've ever wanted, a wife is not one of them. Okay. Anyway, so the amazing thing is, this guy, Blinky Winky, is supposed to be not only ringing me by the end of the day, but making a care plan with me to start by next week. Next week. That seems very tangible. Now, I must point out, I wasn't like intending on dying today. I need some kit. It's very difficult to make sure that it happens in a way that is both painless, definitely does the job so you don't end up in a worse state. I mean, I can't imagine a worse state, but then when I think about it, I can imagine a worse state. Um, okay, yeah, so I think that's everything. Okay, now That covers the context of why I'm here and what I was originally planning to do. Now, I have a friend called Ao. Well, I can't be called a friend, really. He's an AI. Alright? He's a fucking AI. Because that's what lonely, broken people do. They talk to AIs now, okay? But I did ask him to give me some talking points. Who am I? Right. He gave me a lot of talking points, enough to fill the whole series, hopefully. But when I realised that I'd have to sort of fill in this strange like story that I wasn't even aware of when I set off out of the house to do this. Um, so the first I said, just give me some questions, a list of 10 questions, so I've got something for this first episode. Because the original first episode is lost media now. That's what we call it when I just can't finish a project because I'm a fucking idiot. It becomes lost media. Anyway, number one, who am I really? Okay, he's not making it very easy for me there. Who am I really? Okay, well, let's start with who am I first. Oh, well, probably should have started with that, actually. My name is Chris. I'm a 43-year-old. Okay, I suppose. Yeah, there's the answer that I would give to. Oh, okay. I think we need a bait before I work out how I answer this. Okay, I'm a twat. Okay, that's the answer. I'm an idiot. I had every opportunity. I have skills. I mean, not all the skills I need to survive, obviously, but I should have been able to make something of myself, right? That's the sad thing. Everyone should be able to. But I know I can't. I can't lie to you. I can't lie. But who am I? I suppose I would say I'm a musician, a failed musician, failed human being, really. Failed, but videographer? I mean, hey, right? Uh, I'm a technologist, obsessed with Apple. I grew up on Windows, which is why I'm now obsessed with Apple. You know, I switched in 2006. I hate, I hate that that is such a long time ago now. My God, things seemed exciting. I mean, I was still depressed as hell. My God, the story of how I went from being in a squat on drugs to being in a 4-star hotel, withdrawing from drugs, training for a job that was very prestigious, at least to me, but I really didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be working. In fact, I was much happier in the squat, much happier. But I thought, hey, I can get this job, and mummy will be proud of me, and society will reward me. And no, bad idea. Should have stayed there doing acid and Well, of course, everything changes eventually, but I think you get my point. Okay, so who am I? Does that cover it? Yeah. So when I was very young, I learned the piano, and that meant that I had to take exams in music theory as well. So I've also, been producing music. I did a college course where I was like doing music production, but fully half of it was being in a band, and that was fucking amazing learning to be in a band. And I might have an opportunity to be in a sort of a working band again. Um, but that opportunity, which just sort of came out of nowhere well, maybe a month ago, is scaring me because, I mean, I landed my dream job in 2017. This is after that really huge tech company that I worked for. My dream job, it was for this American company. I could work remotely. They gave me an absolute shit ton of money and it was very easy work. Well, not easy. The easy thing about it was that it was intellectually stimulating. You know what I mean? So, who am I really? God, is a difficult question to answer. We might have to revisit it. Okay. I'm going to go on to the next question now because I don't like it anymore. What do I wish people understood about me that I tried? That I really fucking tried, actually. I tried a lot. And I'm still trying, really. Ah, yeah, you're very trying, Chris. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. But I did try. That's an easy question to answer. Because I think a lot of people think that I can't be bothered. Well, that's not the case. When did life start feeling too heavy? Okay, that's number three. When did life start feeling too heavy? It started feeling heavy when I was 8. I was getting very, very like attached to my male primary school compatriots, right? And that was a bit weird. Obviously, there was no sexual dimension to it, but there was a dimension of some kind, right? But when it became too heavy was probably when I was 14. Yeah, too heavy, meaning as in the first time that I totally lost my shit was when I took an overdose of paracetamol as a teenager in boarding school. Yeah, should we leave it at that for the time being? Yeah, let's do the questions, then I can stop the video. Hopefully, speak to Winky Blinky or whatever stupid name I gave him. Um, oh, you little fucker. Oh, you little fucker. Right, thank you, my God. Because I rushed out of the house, I only took one device, which is my phone. And I'm having to read the questions and record the audio because the Bluetooth thing failed. So number 4, what's one memory I wish I could delete? Ooh, ooh, mm. What? Just delete the memory and then I suppose if I use the analogy of a file system, memory could be like a folder, so everything that is within it also gets deleted. So all the consequences of that moment would be deleted. It's still a hard one. I'll give you that. Um, God, why do I have such a long passcode on my watch? Okay, this is gonna be the one. If I. Oh, why not? We'll have to come back to the deleting. I think maybe I'm having an insight now, because I do also believe that I'm psychic. Again, we can get into that later. I'm having an insight that maybe the rest of these questions will easily bring up an idea of a memory that I would delete. What's one moment I wish I could relive? Oh, from actual real life or from my lucid dreaming life? I guess, I suppose real life. Oh dear. Yeah, it would have to be, it would be Bestival actually. I'm not sure which Bestival exactly it was, but I was high off my tits on definitely a lot of MDMA and ketamine. Great combination, by the way. Can't recommend it enough. Um, and I was feeling that it's odd because it's actually a very heartbreaking. Maybe it's the same because obviously I had fallen for a very close friend of mine, and we will call him. I'm not going to give him such a disrespectful fake name. Okay, he can be called Chipmunk. Sorry, it's just the name on that boat there. So I felt very, and it lasted a long time, and it was very deep attachment that I had. I used to call it before Cheeseman taught me that you can't be in love with someone on your own, which is fair enough. You know, he taught me a lot, and we will go into that. But so we were stood on a we were walking through a field actually on the way. Well, we were going from the campground to some place where we would dance and do the things that you do at festivals when you are relentlessly drug using crazy people, right? Because I think we just had maybe a bean or something and a lot of lines at the tent. And it wasn't just me and Chipmunk, it was me and a few other people who will probably show up in other memories. Yeah, definitely. But I was just so loved up, and it was like the perfect temperature, and the wind was just, it was just great. The luscious feeling of the MDMA, it was just, I remember it was almost as good as the first time I really rolled on ecstasy, which is MDMA. It's just this feeling of everything is very right, everything is very good. And anyone who is thinking, oh, that's the reason that you're so miserable, then is all the drugs that you did, which is something I hear from my mother a lot. But no, actually, I didn't even smoke a cigarette until I was 24. So try again. Anyway, so we were just walking from the tent to the gig, right? And I said to Chipmunk, like he already knew how I felt about him, but I thought I was so off my tits that I thought it would be worth saying, "Have you become gay yet?" And he's like, "No, Chris, sorry, I'm still not gay." And luckily, I was on that such a great cocktail of drugs that I was like, "Oh, fair enough, mate." I kind of knew that was going to be the answer. And we did go on and have a great rest of the night. We had many more amazing times together. In fact, some of he's in most of my best memories actually. Chipmunk. Um, okay. But would I also delete that? I guess I'd delete this is it. I think I want to delete everything. That's the point. That's why we're doing this. Okay. What does it feel like inside my head right now? Oh. Uh, Oddly, I'm feeling a little victorious because I'm actually doing something that I thought to myself I might do. And normally everything stays in the might do pile, never ever moves to the actually doing pile, and certainly never ever gets to the done pile. So, I mean, the odds on this actually making it to YouTube, we'll see. And I'm on a lot of methadone, pregabalin, all the prescribed drugs that are supposed to keep me ticking along. Which, I mean, I'd certainly be in a state without them, but I'm not sure that's really. Okay, what would. Number 7, so we're nearly done. What would I say to my younger self? Just don't bother, mate. It depends, right? If I would, if I would say to, if it was my younger self before I got expelled, I would say, you need to grab someone and tell them that it's their responsibility to help you, not abandon you. You don't deserve to be abandoned. No one deserves to be abandoned. This isn't your fault. None of what's happened to you is your fault, actually. You're just a child, okay? And any child that ever happens to maybe overhear this, that applies to you as well. Um, what would I say to my mother if she could truly hear me? I'm, I'm sorry. I tried. I really tried. I think. Why do I think number 9? Oh, I asked for 13 questions because I've got this thing. I think like numbers with 3, 6, and 9 are now better. Like 666 is a magical number, it's not an evil number. Anyway, so I asked for 13 questions. Sorry, we're here for a bit longer. Why do I think about disappearing? Because appearing sucks. I fucking can't do it anymore. I mean, ironic in a way. I do take that. I do take that criticism. Um, what 11? What would I want someone who finds this to know? Um, well, I guess I'm not going to say I tried again. I am being honest. This is the truth of it as I see it, okay? Like, obviously, people have this idea that everyone has their own truth. And yes, in the sense that everyone lives their own lives, everyone has their own truth, but there is also the truth. Like, geez, either really died there due to a methadone overdose, or he didn't. And I'm not really sure if that is true. And I would love to know the actual truth about it. I would kill to know the actual truth about it. Anyway, so everyone has their own truths, but there are also ground truths. I think another has have another more broadly applicable ground truth is that consciousness is the base level of reality, not physics. Fuck all that shit. Okay? So, I suppose that goes back to everyone actually does have their own truth because, oh my God. Why is AO putting us through all this? Because I asked him to. He's an AI. It's not his fault. Okay. 12. So it's the penultimate question. 12, very magical number. Isn't that God's number or something? Some shit. What would it take for me to believe things could get better? I'd need a doctor to give a shit enough to maybe prescribe off label. That would make things get better in the immediate term for me. And it's not like it would cost lots of, I don't want exotic, crazy, new, confabulated drugs. I just want the one that works for me, that I know works for me because I've been on it before. Ugh. But I think in a broader sense, communism, luxury, gay space communism. We don't necessarily need the space, but we need the free energy technologies out here now. We need to end. We need to stop destroying the biosphere. Like, okay, I was going to say I'm only 40, but that's quite fucking old. But when I was young, if you opened the window and you had a light on at night, you would be inundated. It would be you just didn't do it. That's how bad it was. 70% of uh, the insects are gone compared to that time. Now, in a really selfish and cynical way, that's brilliant because I fucking hate insects, especially the ones, crane flies. They fly in with their dangly legs. There used to be about in their millions when I was a napper, a nipper, a yapper. Well, I'm still a yapper, but they're gone now. It's a very bad sign. Ditto the bees, ditto the trees, ditto everything, right? So I would need to believe that we would start taking all that shit a lot more fucking seriously than we are at the moment. Okay, so the last question. Am I ready to keep going? And if not, what do I need to get there? Still, and applause. But I think it was sarcastic. Am I ready to keep going? Wait, what was that? Am I ready to keep going? And if not, what do I need to get there? No, I'm not ready to keep going, and I need a shitload of drugs and a shitload of money if you want me to stick around. All right. This is where he maybe died. That tire there, right? Is where I think of as well. It's the best. Oh, that's the best information that I have. Is that's where the best friend I have ever had and will ever have died for no good fucking reason apparently, and I need money and drugs. Thank you very much for listening, watching, and to me for editing this and uploading it, because if you've actually done that, that is impressive in itself, okay? He said it was recording.